Start with the hair, fellas. Let's get the hair right. Look at that. We're off, Callum.
I've only just hit record. He's checking the time already.
No, notifications.
Notifications,
I feel like
all right.
we used to do that at football on a Sunday morning. As soon as the gaffer was up talking, people would be pocket dialing other people, so they were interrupting, going, "Mitchell, turn that off now." It was like proper team crack. So nobody ring each other, nobody WhatsApp, nobody kind of stitch each other up. We'll do that in later episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so today is all about the importance of digital transformation in manufacturing, is what we're basing this this short video around today, I think.
Definitely, yeah. It's worth. There's a couple of faces on the call. Is it worth doing a couple of intros, Callum?
I don't know what order positions people on the recording, but it's just down my right hand side right now. We've got Matt and Ben, who are two developers that work for us right now.
Good to see you on the call, fellas. Bit different. Let's get you a bit outward facing. Let's tell the world what great work you're doing in engineering. So pipe up in the call as me and Callum inevitably going to take a lot of the oxygen out of the call here.
I'll try my best.
Should be interesting.
So I guess kind of getting straight into it, it's digital transformation, something it's not just a trend, but it's ongoing, and it's trying to bring the factory away from paperwork, and it's a necessity in modern manufacturing, really, isn't it?
Definitely, I think there are so many, and again, as we go on, we're seeing more and more companies that are on a journey, and some are more than I'd even anticipate are right at the beginning. They've created lots of quality systems and then lots of other systems into systemized. They've got paper forms and then spreadsheets and paper forms spreadsheets because it's easy. And I think that digitization path is about how we make customers efficient, or how manufacturers become efficient by just replacing some of the legacy stuff that they're hanging on to with all their might, because they need it for one end or another. And yeah, the digitization path doesn't look straightforward for many. So simplifying it and making it easy is definitely something we can do with the product that we've got.
So yeah, increased efficiency, I guess it's all about kind of trying to reduce those human error elements within a manufacturing environment. Overall, trying to increase your productivity as a business, move away from those old systems which aren't very efficient stereotypically, and improving it by putting screens up, giving your operators interfaces to interact with, trying to bring people together so they're looking at the same data consistently every day on a kind of a real time, rather than perhaps outdated paperwork. We've seen that at a customer site we went to see just recently, earlier this week, didn't we?
I mean, it was huge. I suppose huge in terms of seeing where they are at the start of their journey. They are having a great effort at sort of SQCDP boards. They've picked up the books. They've started to figure out that they can display things and make use of them and have a daily review. But there's no alignment between one part of the operation and the next, and therefore you can tell the way they were describing themselves is that they're very, very inefficient at understanding whether they're working safely, whether products are built to the right quality, whether they're on time with their targets, and where their costs are, where the downtimes are. They're better than paperwork and no output, but they've got to move through now and take the next step to see that in an aligned way that's much more efficient. They're losing hundreds of man hours a week just populating their whiteboards, and it's incredible. And I think that's where some of the stuff that Matt and Ben are doing to make those dashboards work based off those data entries that operators give is so incredibly powerful. Matt, in terms of just sort of asking you a question around sort of that SQCDP framework and the way that you're pulling from all the different areas of a business into one screen, what's your takeaway from that? It's probably quite a simple exercise as a developer once you've got targets to reach out into and make good visuals for. But do you connect that back to these same workplaces and the real experience the users are having?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the main things we've heard from customers is that they wanted to kind of match what they have existing on paper almost exactly. So even though the concept is quite simple and easy, getting that direct translation of what they currently have into a digitized form while keeping it as simple and easy as possible is where the real challenge comes from, I feel, from a development standpoint. Just because it's human nature that they want to make things easy. They want to keep a process that they know, that they understand, that they've worked with for the past couple decades.
Yeah.
So bringing in something completely new and overhauling everything is a big enough change that it is. And keeping it at least visually very similar to the way they currently work, I feel really helps with moving that along and pushing that forwards, because it's one less thing that they have to learn. And especially if it's visually something they can look at and understand a basic idea of how to use, then I feel like it's almost half the battle won at that point.
Yeah.
If one of the users looks at it and they can't understand how to use it, then you're lost from the very beginning.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the way you're finessing things and taking that feedback. And Callum, you are always talking about the cultural journey in that digitization path as well. Is that there's the way we are working and the way we're approaching that smart factory and that industry problem of digitize, get the efficiencies out of paper. But you link that to what the management teams and the leadership teams are able to put in as a workplace culture. Is that directly related to the things that, again, Matt and Ben are building that way?
Yeah, definitely. It's all about trying to have as high an output as possible, by, as Matt says, trying to adapt existing systems that a business might have that they're already comfortable with, that their staff's already comfortable with, and trying to optimize them. So we've got to put as few resources as possible into that, so it takes the least amount of time at the front end, and we get the most amount of benefit out of it as possible when using a system such as our app. And it's all about trying to bring those team members together to collaborate in a positive environment, in a positive way, and change maybe some negative behavioral trends that are historic within the business of, I don't want to fill this form in, he does that, I shouldn't have to do that, or why are you watching me, you're putting a sensor in my machine. It's not about that. It's about trying to bring a team together to work more efficiently and up their outputs and just try and improve generally.
Yeah. No, I think it's just I think because you're close to the customers, you see that the best way you describe it is, I've seen it at customer A, at customer B, at customer C now, is sort of, certainly as I'm getting less of that front facing time, it's great hearing your stories about customers, the journey they're on, and how that links back to the product and the team. I mean,
yeah. I mean, staff see it a lot of the time. Operators can see it in a positive upskill way as well. It's, I mean, from an operator point of view, if you're an operator, it's using something additional that helps you on a daily basis. It might have the requirement for training. It's therefore it's giving you some additional skills that could make you more employable in the future if you're not with that employer anymore. It could demand for a pay rise, something like that. It can help the operator in so many ways, and that's how we're trying to. It's all about trying to get that operator buy-in really at the front end, isn't it? So they recognise the value in it, and it makes them feel more empowered as an individual, and connects them to their team and their manager and higher up the business.
Yeah, yeah. It's I take my excitement away from the way you guys all talk about all these things that are just becoming bigger and bigger. And it's sort of, I just think of one which, in terms of Ben, the live views that you've created over time and the dashboards around how the operators can see their progress and how management teams and team leaders and executives can see a plant view. You've had to look back into that data in a similar way to Matt's created the reviews in SQCDP to say, well, here's some real value add in terms of, this is what the operator can see in terms of progress. This is what the management team can see where the problems are. Have you found that a difficult process, taking the original product and moving it through all these iterations into something that's useful? Or is that relatively easy for you, being sort of back office members of the team that are doing all the hard work, but linking it back to the customer where Callum's really in the face with the customers?
It took a while to nail down exactly what needs to be said and what needs to be seen and who needs to see it. So I think that was the hardest part. I mean, it was all just about making it visible and easily visible, and you're not searching through the data for ages. It's just right in front of you. This is your issues right now. You need to take a look at this, and just easily being able to see a quick glance, 5-second look, and you know exactly what you need to do and where your losses are, and just as simple as possible. But that's all there was to it, really.
That's terrific. Because Callum, that must be, it's getting people off the blocks from a paper system and moving into this sort of digitization journey. It's getting them quicker through the first steps of that. Are you kind of getting feedback from, you know, the trials, the users, the managers who are using it, that are telling us that these things are working for them the way we've wrapped them up in the product?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of it's all about overcoming some of the initial drawbacks that people perceive to be around digital transformation in a factory. Things like initial investments obviously needed from a cash point of view and from a time point of view. That these things can take a lot of time to implement, which is one of our kind of unique selling points, as we try to be as efficient as possible and to have no downtime. With our app, it's simple, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's all about trying to overcome, like I say, those initial drawbacks with a customer, or with somebody who's interested in trialing the product. And we seen that at that same customer that we went and seen earlier this week, didn't it? It wasn't it one of the biggest questions that that John asked was how quick could you have a system up and running? Does it take a lot of time? Is there training involved? They're always very conscious about whether or not you have to train your operators and to what level. Because some operators might not have a massive skill set, so you have to try and make it as simple as possible for them to be able to interact with it and use something new that they're not familiar with.
Yeah, I suppose it's lots of packages. If you think of the other items we've seen out there that are trying to do something similar but are using hardware and are using really complex, nuanced software, giving people lots and lots of things that you have to train in them and support them with, is probably, we've just looked at a real quick and dirty fingernails. These guys are in the factory, big button, easy functionality. You've got a problem, raise it like this. You need to get a hold of somebody, you need to flag something, it's done like this, and it be self-explanatory almost. And I think that's this link between the work you're doing in the face of that, and then back to the engineering guys, of that interpretation goes very quickly back, and the product has done, which is allowing us to talk a lot more openly with new customers about, well, this is how quickly you can get onboarded and going, rather than spending shed loads of money, having long delays. You download the app and go, and it's based on your work. I worry we don't talk about the good work that's gone in, at the front end, and then in the back of everything we do, because it all comes back to that digitization journey and helping people down it. And that's, I suppose that's the mission, is helping them to just get along there, get better, and have their own pace. And it's your work. I really value that. So, you know, I get to publicly say it here now, but it's really that's having the effect. So well done, guys, and let's keep it going. You know, it's who's next?
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's probably long enough for today. It's give a bit of an overview of some of the positives, try to talk about some of the drawbacks there, and from the lads' point of view, from a developer as well, how what they've found difficult and what they've found positive when they've been working on the product hands on, when we've had some requests from customers and what we've had to put into that.
Yeah, good stuff. I suppose just as a quick one, what was the most exciting thing this week, Callum?
Oh, definitely the customer visit. It's always good to go out and see a new customer. I mean, this is a customer that's came purely out of nowhere, a bit of a cold one. It's not somebody who have been prospecting or anything. It's a LinkedIn message of kind of exactly how we talked about on the last call, isn't it? We're kind of the face behind the LinkedIn message. So if you're somebody that would be messaging on LinkedIn and you just don't know whether or not to get in for a chat, then get in. We'll take up less than 2 hours of your time, and it could change everything.
Yeah, a fantastic way of putting it. Love it. Let's keep going. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep this content going. If people get to see us and what we're about, and let's solve some problems for everyone. I think that's it. Key is we're solving real problems, and every time we go to that coal face, we're finding that there are more and more. So I can only encourage you guys, keep doing what you're doing. Let's really help people. Let's help people out.
Good. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.